You can't give what you don't have. When you are talking about integrity, you are really talking about the real person, who that person is.
When you talk of integrity, you talk of honesty. To be honest. And to be honest means to be trustworthy, to be truthful. And politics is science and art of government.
Politics is about the people.
Yes.
And if you talk about it in a deeper sense, it has to do with how people take decisions on how to lead themselves.
Compliments of the season and welcome to this new year 2019. It promises to be a great decisive year, as we know that the Nigeria general elections is just less than 50 days from now. This is Christians in Politics and I welcome you to this week's episode. I am Korede Akitunde. As elections draw closer, we will like to bring to you more political activities to shape your decisions during elections. Today, I will bring to you the presidential candidate of Social Democratic Party, someone who is a lecturer, senator, and a former Minister of Information and National Orientation, Professor Jerry Gana, CON. Following SDP's presidential primaries, which held on October 7, 2018, the party had declared former Governor of Cross Rivers, Donald Duke, as its flag bearer, having polled 812 votes, closely followed by Professor Jerry Gana with 611 votes. Professor Gana, who was satisfied, went to court seeking to be declared winner in line with the zoning and rotation formula of the party's constitution. On December 14th, the Federal High Court in Maitama, Abuja, declared him as the rightful SDP presidential candidate in the 2019 election. He has therefore come up with his presidential program, codenamed SWIFT. What is SWIFT? Take a seat and let's listen to him explaining the program to newsmen in Abuja.
It's now my honor and privilege to welcome the man of the moment, someone that has served this country. He knows Nigeria like the back of his palm. He has traveled across this country, mostly by road, deliberately, because if you want to lead a people, then you must understand the people. You must know their lives. You must feel their pains. If Nigerians can travel from Lagos to Abuja by road, why not Professor Gana? He's a Nigerian. So he tries to identify with people. He understands this country. He knows what the issues are. This man has served this country in various capacities in the last 40 years.
No blemish.
No blemish. None. Not one. And we understand very clearly what the dynamics of politics is in this dispensation. And that is why some people do not want him to emerge, because they have made commitments to, as usual, do something else. But unfortunately, their hook caught a wrong fish. We are in this business to win elections. I don't want to preach to the converted, because I know that you all understand Professor Gana and what he stands for. So let me simply invite him, His Excellency, the former Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm told that once a senator, always a senator. Many of us may not know that he was elected a senator of the Federal Republic in 1983. He became the consulting director of DIFRI and did a lot of work in rural development. Lectured at Ahmadu Bello University, from where he rose to the rank of professor. served as chairman of MAMSA to mobilize Nigerians towards the Third Republic, became Minister of Information and Culture, became Minister of Agriculture, became Minister of Cooperation and Integration in Africa, became Minister of Information and National Orientation, became political advisor to the President, has participated in several programs, conferences to reshape Nigeria. Welcome a man who is prepared to lead Nigeria. We have tried, we have had many errors, and we cannot afford to make mistake again. And this is why he has volunteered, because of pressure on him, to say, let me offer myself one more time. Welcome, gentlemen and ladies, Professor Gana.
Our very distinguished National Public Secretary, my dear brother, and the National Treasurer, who have found the time to be with us. We want to appreciate the presence of the governorship candidate of Niger and Plateau States, Your Excellencies. Very distinguished directors of the campaign here are present. I'm sure the Director General may wish to reveal them later in this presentation, but I welcome you very, very warmly. Very distinguished gentlemen and ladies of the press, very distinguished guests here present. Let me join the DG to welcome all of you very, very warmly to this presentation of our program, because we believe in issue-oriented, issue-based campaigns. In this campaign, I've already given a directive. We have no time to be abusing people. We have no time to waste on other issues. We want to focus on what is troubling Nigerians and what are our solutions. Therefore, we are going to be issues-oriented. This is why we are taking this deliberate step with you, gentlemen of the press, being those who convey a number of ideas to the public to make this special presentation before we begin our formal campaigns and visit to the people. So this is a media event. We want to focus on our program so you will have an understanding. We believe that it's important that the political campaigns in Nigeria be deliberately driven by ideas, by program, by specific issues, so that people know that we understand the issues, we have the solutions, and if you voted in the office, we'll now implement those solutions so that Nigeria can be a better place. So this is a very deliberate event, and I'm so glad that the DG has also given you already a very clear, legitimate reason why we are here. We are very, very conscious of being obedient to the rule of law, and therefore we are here because a competent court declared that I'm the legitimate candidate for the presidency of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we welcome you very, very warmly. I want to assure you that copies of the program which we are presenting today, I'm going just to highlight the key areas, the key issues, so that gentlemen of the press, you don't get apprehensive, you don't worry. We've made sufficient copies so that each of you present here will have a copy of these programs. You can study, you can get back to us, because we want you to help us convey it to the people. Therefore, even before we proceed, so that you'll be at ease, we are presenting a wonderful program we've codenamed SWIFT, and it is SWIFT. I'm going to present it to you today, chapter by chapter. It's really a program for the transformation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. If given the opportunity to preside over the affairs of Nigeria, we have a SWIFT, that's the code name, and each of the letters there, SWIFT, stand for a key part of our program. So we have 5 key programs that we are going to present to you today, and I'm presenting right before I even go into it, so that you'll be at ease that the details will be available. We are very transparent, we are very able, we are very willing, and we are issue-oriented. We know exactly what Nigerians want, because, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in designing these 5 programs we are going to present to the nation today, we did a survey. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is abundantly clear to us that most Nigerians wish to live in a peaceful, secure, and properly managed nation-state, the Federal Republic of Nigeria, a land of law and order, with freedom, justice, progress, and robust opportunities for employment, positive productivity, and prosperity instead of poverty. Unfortunately, although we have abundant human and natural resources, we have had a severe poverty of good leadership, with little or no capacity to drive the processes of development. Therefore, Nigeria has still been wallowing in poverty, underemployment, unemployment everywhere within the nation. And we therefore Nigeria is faced with a number of serious problems, challenges of insecurity, challenges of unemployment, challenges of a weak economy, challenges of ruthless poverty that is worrying our people. The issue of hunger and poverty is real on the faces of our people. It's pathetic in a country where we have such abundant resources. For people to be going through this period of severe poverty is unfortunate and is very, very serious. And therefore, we went to town to really survey from Nigerians what are the basic issues that indeed should be tackled if a government is to be put in place that really understands the various needs of the people of Nigeria. So in designing the 5-point program we are presenting today, we carried out intensive field surveys, checks and balances, right there with the masses of Nigerians. And from the analysis of our findings, we have designed SWIFT. The S in the SWIFT stands for security re-engineering. Topmost on the hearts of many Nigerians, that we found out, is the issue of insecurity. People are afraid of their very lives. The nation where they were safe before. Some of the survey, during the survey, even school children were asking. They're even fearful in going to school. So it's a very serious problem. The other day I was on a television program for just half an hour. Most of the questions were on issue, what is your answer to the issue of insecurity? The issue of security is top on the agenda. And I want to assure millions of Nigerians watching us today that our first major project is going to be, in this SWIFT, will be security re-engineering. And I'll come to that shortly. Because we want to, by the grace of God, restore peace, security, public safety, law and order in the land. The W stands for wealth creation, so as to conquer poverty. This poverty is not for Nigerians. The good Lord has been very gracious to Nigeria. Abundant land resources, abundant mineral resources, abundant oil resources, abundant gas resources, abundant this, abundant that, abundant human resources. Therefore, this is a rich country. It's a land of prosperity, a land that indeed every Nigerian should be proud to be part of. Therefore, poverty really is not supposed to be the portion of Nigeria, because God has been so gracious to us. Therefore, we want to shift away from all areas that people emphasize on economic management. We want to deliberately shift on programs and emphasis onto programs that will create wealth so that we conquer poverty, create wealth so that we generate employment, create wealth so that Nigerians can move forward because of the abundant resources that God has given the nation. So the W in the SWIFT is for wealth creation. Then the I is for infrastructure excellence and power supply. Nigeria requires excellent infrastructure because in a huge nation like this, goods and services must move if the nation is to grow and to develop. But now it's pathetic. You try to travel from here to Lagos. You have to go through all sorts of alleys of villages here and there. There are no first-class ways. And I did it just a few days back. It's real. I'm not talking about theory. I've actually gone on ground, not once, not twice, to see this. Going to so many alleys. This is between Abuja and Lagos. We don't have an expressway directing us to Lagos. Two most powerful centers in Nigeria, not to talk of other parts. So Nigeria requires a whole network of highways, expressways, railways, pipelines, transmission lines. This network is extremely important because every vital economy must have these that will now be moving goods and services. It's just like the veins and arteries in the body, in the human body, through which the blood flows. If the infrastructure is not really excellent, then goods will not move. Then the economy will not move. It's as basic and fundamental as that. So, infrastructure excellence and power supply. In our survey, apart from security, an issue of poverty, the third thing that was worrying Nigerians is the issue of this infrastructure, especially power supply. How can we have regular power supply? Most of them will be asking us, what is your answer to this area of power supply? Extremely important. And in our program of SWIFT, we want to present a very, very well-considered program for giving Nigerians a very first-class infrastructure, particularly in the area of power supply. The F is for fight against corruption and indiscipline. We'll come to that. And then the T is technology, education, and human development. Therefore, welcome to SWIFT. Welcome to SWIFT. And I want to take your time to just go briefly into each of these areas. Since you are going to have the details, I would just highlight some of the key areas, and you'll find the very well considered kind of plans and programs and projects that we intend to carry out under each of these very vital things. Your Excellencies, according to our Constitution, the security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. I love that. The framers of our Constitution were very clear-headed. They were very correct to say that for any government to be meaningful at all, the primary purpose of that government is to ensure the security and welfare of the people. Government is for people. Government is to make sure that people are secure, people have welfare. That is the top. If you fail in that, you have failed, whatever else you do. Because our Constitution says that is the primary purpose of government. And so, our number one program, therefore, is in this area. And we do indeed want to do a number of things in order to make sure that this issue of insecurity is resolved as quickly as possible, if by the grace of God, Nigerians were to give us the privilege, the opportunity, and the grace of presiding over the affairs of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Security is our number one. And in doing that, we would like to reorganize the security architecture. In other words, the entire organization of the security system is extremely important. We've done our studies and want to thank some of the representatives here of that panel that really looked into this very, very seriously. A member of that team is here today, has already been introduced. They did an excellent job. And the top thing is that we have to reorganize the security architecture of the entire nation. In other words, all the national security agencies will have to be well organized to be able to deliver the services for the people. Extremely important. Number two, they advise, and we take it very seriously, that the Nigeria police, before restructuring, before we believe, and we shall come to that later, the issue of restructuring, which will lead to other tiers, maybe even of the police force, but as of now, we have a federal police. If that police is to really ensure security and welfare and safety across the nation, then we have to reform and reorganize and restructure the Nigeria police. Because defense may be national, but security is very local, to every village, to every neighborhood, to every home. And so this reformation is very important. And just to give you an illustration, and I have in my panel a former Minister of Police Affairs, so we are very, very well informed in this matter. As of now, we have less than 500,000 police to look after the security of nearly 180 million Nigerians. The ratio is just too serious to worry about. So we believe that the place to start with is a particular emphasis of massively, and I mean massively, enlarging the police force. We are under-policed. They are under-equipped. They are under-trained. They are really helpless in a way. They are doing their very best. Given the facilities and given the training some of them have, they are doing very, very well under the circumstances. So therefore, if we really have to move forward, and we must move forward because security of our people is very, very important, then the first is really to enlarge this police force. And we are suggesting that there should be at least not less than 25,000 police in each state of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Not less than. Not less than. As of now, some areas don't even have access. Before a police personnel can get there, the problem facing them would have been over. The insecurity would have been, areas would have been damaged. We also want to, in doing that, to ensure, I'm giving a specific example because we've gone through this very, very specifically. For example, as of now, since it's a federal control police and the governors of the states are chief security officers, and yet a number of them don't really have that kind of access to those who take decisions in the security sector as promptly as they should, we believe that the level of leadership of the police at the state level should be upgraded from a commissioner of police to an assistant inspector general, AIG. In fact, that level, so that immediately there can be decision making immediately. You don't have to refer to a whole hierarchy. And therefore, within each state, you could easily therefore have 3 commissioners of police, 1 for each senatorial district. It's extremely important. That would allow that in every local government, you have very serious officers. I'm saying to you, we are not taking policing of Nigeria seriously because they are undermanned and they don't have enough resources. Under us, we believe that instead of a few of the assistant inspector general, we should have 1 for each state. That's 36 of them. And under them, each senatorial district must have a commissioner of police. That's referring about 109 of them. Each senatorial district is big enough, powerful enough, important enough. And under them, you now have area commanders that look after local governments so that right down to the ward and the community, there is a presence. That's what you find in areas where it is secure. I come from one of the largest local governments in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. From my area to go down to the headquarters where the police are, you have been finished. It will take you 2-3 hours. So this is a very, very serious problem, and we believe that given the numbers we are talking about, at least quickly, we can move from less than, I'm sure, in fact, the minister briefed me, it is even less than 400,000. We want to move that to 25,000 per state. That translates to about 900,000 in the first 6 months of our administration. You move that and you train them, and it's very, very possible, so that there is a very real presence of security in every part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But in doing that, we also have to strengthen the police force with modern equipment, weaponry, vehicles for mobility, and high-tech technology for solutions. In the security sector, they've moved on. Using appropriate technology, you'll be able to actually do much. Now the police, you pity them. Some of the guns they use in facing some of the people, really, the armed robbers and other ones, the police can't even defend themselves. Therefore, we must equip them excellently, effectively, thoroughly, to be able to really do their jobs properly. We have also designed decisively fighting Boko Haram, the herdsmen militia, kidnappers, and armed robbers. But for very obvious reasons, the details of this well-designed program on how to really tackle these areas effectively are confidential, because for security reasons we cannot present them now. We present them at the point of execution, and I'm telling you they are well tested. Well tested. We shall also address issues of social injustice, issues of oppression, issues that are leading to insecurity. If you don't do that, insecurity will begin to arise from place to place. We must be fair. We must be just. We must be honorable. We must ensure that Nigerians are not treated with oppression. Wherever there are problems, you resolve the problems fairly and justly. Justice is the basis of peace. Wherever there is no justice, there will be all sorts of things that would arise. And then, of course, we shall acquire and deploy the system of command, control, communications, computer, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, codenamed the C4ISR. We believe that we should really move our system to the level where we are using the latest technology. Somebody can say that with some of the latest technology, there will be a national surveillance. It's very, very possible, because you're dealing with satellite. We're not using it. Then they want to do it. Then they'll take time to know whether people are in Sambisa forest. My goodness, from one place you can be able to know every inch of the territory will be shown. Still from satellite. This is the 21st century, and therefore the issue of security is something that we take very seriously. But, Your Excellencies, a very important part of ensuring peace and security is to reconcile our people. There's too much tension in the land, too much division. Once you have this kind of division, then there will be insecurity. Let me tell you a secret. Your best security is your neighbor. That's why the good word says, love your neighbor as yourself. That's a powerful secret there. And let me say this, don't joke with it. Don't ever be always fighting with your neighbor, because on the day of trouble, your neighbor is your first help. So in Nigeria today, communities are at war. Communities is in tension. It shouldn't be that. We should be friends. We should be compatriots. We should be one of those watching over the issues for one another. Therefore, this issue of reconciliation is extremely important. And the reality that we face today of Nigeria being at war with itself, we believe can be resolved, and we must therefore create a new consciousness by the grace of God and the support of our people, a new consciousness to produce a new generation of patriotic Nigerians by, one, promoting and restoring love, confidence, and trust, because trust is truly important. Even in the home, if there is no trust, husband and wife, you can't live together. There must be trust. There must be love. There must be care. Today, people just don't care for people's feelings. It's extremely important, and we are going to be doing so at the highest level of government. That these are fundamental matters. Rebuilding trust, extremely important. Secondly, enthroning justice, fairness, and the rule of law. We will be a government that will first obey the law. Not the kind of government when courts give declarations and you don't obey. That is not the rule of law. If a court gives an order, it has to be carried out, because the court is the hope of the ordinary man. We must never give the impression as if we are above the law. And we want to really tell Nigerians that if by the grace of God they give us the mandate to preside over the affairs of law, Mr. President will obey the law. Thirdly, we want to invest, certainly would invest massively on the welfare of the Nigerian people, their health, their housing, their education. Basically, let there be a comfortable level of living. It is possible. We can do it. We must do it. And by the grace of God, under our administration, as an SDP presidential power over Nigeria, these are issues that can be done, because one of the areas of excellence of social democrats around the world is welfare for the people. We've done it before. We can do it again. Then fourthly, building consensus on major national issues before implementation, so that we can let our people live. Let there be peace in the land. Let there be decorum. Let there be respect. Let there be listening to one another. Let no hate speech. We want to promote the kind of thing that will allow Nigerians to live together in peace. It is possible. We must do it. And therefore, we also must take seriously the imperative of restructuring. The imperative of restructuring. This is very, very vital, and we have looked into this very seriously. Our founding fathers were very wise. They looked at all the complexities and all the details of the people of Nigeria, the differences in ethnic, religious, cultural, and others. Anywhere in the world where you have this kind of diversities, the best way of relating together is the federal system. So they are deciding on the federal system is correct. Very, very wise. And so what is left for us is to make sure that our own federalism relates well to the realities and the needs of the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we would certainly continue to ensure that federalism is practiced in Nigeria in an excellent way, but the federal system must be such that the federating units within the federal system are well realized, are well put in place after due consultations with all parts of Nigeria, so that there will be a general consensus as to what are the structures within this federal setup. Extremely important. If people are settled that be states, then let them be states. If it be regions, let them be regions. Whatever we agree. But it's extremely important to really listen to one another and to know what is really acceptable across the board as the federating units under the federal system. Secondly, we must ensure, because of now there is too much concentration of power and functions at the center. In the federal system, there is a devolution of powers to the federating units, so that they will look after the basic needs of the people at the federating unit level. Because of our history of military rule over some years, by nature of their hierarchy, there's been a movement of so many functions to the center. Devolution of powers is extremely important, so that the federating units will not only be well composed, but will have the power to perform functions that are very basic to their people. Very, very important. And therefore the center can now be efficient, be focusing on common things that we will kind of do together. In other words, functions should be allocated to the level it belongs. Then the very, very important issue. So apart from structure, apart from powers and functions that should be devolved, the third area of this restructuring is so important. The issue of a fair, just, equitable revenue sharing system, or fiscal federalism. This is very important. No part of the federation should feel cheated, because if you do it, agitations will be building up. And when they build up, they would explode at certain times. So it's important that fiscal federalism is just, is fair, is equitable. And from time to time, you revise it. There are no permanent solutions in such. And that's why we love the democratic system. It's a system of debate and consideration and review where and when it is necessary. So SWIFT 1, as you find in our document, is on security re-engineering, making sure that we restore peace, stability, safety to the Federal Republic of Nigeria, so we can get back to the days when you can travel anywhere in Nigeria that no problem at all. By the grace of God, we shall get there. We believe that given the very high level of poverty in Nigeria, we must swiftly create wealth to conquer the current level of poverty. And it is ruthless poverty. So many families are suffering. Even those who were above the poverty line before are now below it. If you are to be realistic, Nigerians are suffering. If you don't believe me, go to the villages and see. It's real. And therefore we must find ways and means to create wealth. Our own route is not to redistribute poverty. We don't want that. We want to create wealth so that there will be prosperity. That is the difference between us and some other people. And so the first thing we are going to do under this wealth creation the number one plan is to replace the current Fiscal Responsibility Act, which squeezes the economy. You don't allow the economy to grow. Everything is just about squeezing. A developing economy should expand, should grow, should generate. That's what you do with the developing. The people that should be squeezing themselves are those who have already expanded too much. We are yet to expand. We are yet to build the structures. And then we put in place, through the advice of some of these other people, I don't want to call their names, what they term as a fiscal responsibility. We are going to replace that with a Fiscal Expansionary Act. If you agree with me, put your hands together for that. Because the difference here is that in that kind of regime, kind of atmosphere, you have resources for massive investments. Investments in the productive sectors of the economy. And it's the productive sectors that will generate the wealth, generate the jobs, generate, through productivity. This is very, very important. Investments are very critical in a developing economy. Right now we squeeze them. No. We want to release so that people now to really face the issue of making sure you can work, because work will be available. And with this kind of expansion, jobs will be generated, wealth will be created, productivity will be increased, because we want to assure you, with such investments, they are going to go to directly productive sectors of the economy, not for consumption. And we're not talking about loans here. Outside the world, there are resources waiting to move to new areas where there are opportunities for growth and development by way of investments. All they are looking for is for fair system, the rule of law, peace, security, justice. Someday, the other day when we were debating, one of us pointed out that in this country, some administrative or some disputes, which are not criminal but just to arbitrate, may take years before they are resolved. Nobody wants to go into that kind of system. This arbitration system will be swift and proper, so that people know that your money is safe. And when you have a dispute with your partner, it can be resolved, not in 30 years, but in a few years, maybe a few months, and a few days. Why not? It can be done. That is what investors are looking for. They are looking for stable system under the rule of law, under security and safety. Believe you me, when we grant that, resources will move into Nigeria for investment. That's number one. And I want to assure you, under our administration, such resources will be directed to very, very powerful areas of the economy where there will be the creation of wealth. Number two, we must identify and then promote the production of cash crops. Millions of our people are farmers. And believe me, let me give you an example, because I'm an expert in rural development. This is what I trained to be, to ensure, and one country in the world that in this country lifted 800 million people out of poverty is China. That's exactly what China did. China went to the rural areas and gave them the kind of capacity that will allow them to produce, to lift themselves out of poverty. There are millions of our people, if you are to believe a particular report, up to about 87 million Nigerians are living under the poverty line. Very, very serious, very terrible. One way in which in one or two seasons you can actually solve this poverty problem for millions of farmers is to identify very good cash crops that are being demanded in other parts of the world. You produce it because we have the environmental conditions to grow them. We grow them, we process them. There is already a ready market. We sell to them and the money will flow in. It's a good logic. It has happened before. It will happen again. You didn't hear me. I said it has happened before. It will happen again. In this area, I have a former Minister of Commerce who has visited some of the countries we have in mind, and he confirmed to us that, for example, soybeans, just by one decision by a particular country of the family size, millions of young children have just been brought on board, babies, and they will need milk, and milk from soybean because it's very safe. And we have a condition where we can grow soybeans. Right now they are taking it from countries where it's so far away from them. we are even nearer. If we were to just attempt to produce, maybe to meet just 10% of their demand, the amount of resources that will come to our farmers will be huge. And I've identified here, if I worked at the time, not only soybeans, we have 1 or 2 or 3, about 5 crops here. But I don't want to take your time. We've done our home study very, very well. We can create wealth for millions of farmers just by directing them to do the kind of thing that will bring money when they sell. Some of them are even sell within Nigeria. Thirdly, we have to create industrial growth centers in each state based on available solid minerals and other resources. Industrial growth centers. Why not? We can do it. And then, are you crazy taking over land? I say, no. Land is a basis for a plantation like sugar because they require a lot of water. And this area was good, and we took it over. So we had the land, and we don't have the partners. My son was wise enough to now link up with some excellent people who have the resources. So we linked and we became partners. I wouldn't tell you the name of the sugar company unless I'm told I'm, as it were, using this platform to promote something else. But recently, the president of Nigeria found it worthy to be the one to commission the best sugar factory in the whole of West Africa. Now, so we would do that, and this is possible. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, SWIFT number 3. So SWIFT number 2 was creation of wealth. We can do it. We can conquer poverty. We can lift people out of this poverty. And when you do that, I just mentioned a few things. We listed a number of things that can be done. In SWIFT number 3 is infrastructure excellence and power supply. Your Excellencies, under SWIFT number 3, we'd like to build super highways to connect major cities in Nigeria. This is basic, this is important. They have to be done. Secondly, we want to ensure proper development of railways to move bulk goods across the land. Thirdly, to build power transmission lines, because electricity cannot be stored. When you generate it, you have to move it to where it is being consumed. So we need transmission lines across the land. And of course, we expand the power generation in facilities as well. Fourthly, expand a network of facilities for power distribution. This is a critical problem now. Power distribution networks are not efficient. And even the prepaid meter is not available to consumers. This is something that must be resolved quickly, because it's a critical sector that will allow money to come into that sector, and the sector will be liberated and becomes a self-sustaining sector. It's a linkage. So that distribution network is now a bottleneck, is now a problem. We intend to really tackle it very seriously, so that not only will there be efficient distribution, but the consumers will have prepaid meters and transmission lines. And then thirdly, power distribution. So we've provided in our program very clear projects for each of these major sectors of the power supply network. And then, of course, we believe we should fund it properly and effectively, because no economy can be transformed without energy. And the power sector provides the essential energy for this. SWIFT 4, fight against corruption and indiscipline. You know that by the grace of God, Nigerians have invested in this candidate, because I've served as chairman of MAMSA for 8 years. I've gone to every part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We know all the antics. We know all the situations. You know, anywhere, even now, where I go, people will call me Mr. MAMSA. So that spirit of fighting corruption and indiscipline is still in us. We have the strategies. We have the ways. We don't have to learn it. We are the masters. When it is done, we'll do it. We've learned it. And then, but in that respect, for this fight against corruption, the following are very important. The first, in the area of fighting corruption, is to provide leadership by example. The leader in the fighting against corruption, you have to be ruthless with yourself first. You cannot, and beyond you, all those who surround you, will also now be thoroughly checked, and if they make a mistake, they will be an example. It is not like some other people, you know them. I don't want, you know them. If you are corrupt, you run there, you are safe. Now, in this, and believe you me, in developing this program, we've studied other countries very thoroughly. And I want to say here, if by the grace of God, God gives me the privilege of presiding over the affairs of Nigeria, it is those, the inner circle around me, that will be severely dealt with if ever they are corrupt. So, if you are looking forward to being a minister in this presidency, be very, very sure that you are transparent and you are going to do things well, because you cannot hide. Because that is the best way to make sure to other people that if you do it, you will be dealt with firmly, decisively. Am I communicating? Yes. Then number 3, we have to strengthen the justice system to restore the dignity of judicial officers. We feel very, very sad when judicial officers are being ridiculed. No. We must make sure that the priests of the temple of justice are well regarded. I know we will tell them to regard themselves excellently, but their dignity must be protected. If you don't do that, people now look at the rule of law as something, and then order will break down. We want to make sure that that is done so that justice is respected seriously.
All right, we have just seen Professor Jerry Gana. He has taken the first S, which you agree with me, he's talking about security, the W standing for wealth creation, and the I for infrastructural development. Let's take this quick break before we continue.
Ajayi Crowther University admission has commenced. Programs on offer include undergraduate, postgraduate, part-time, HND conversion, foundation and pre-degree in faculties of law, humanities, education, natural sciences, social sciences and management sciences. Our tuition is affordable and payable in 3 installments. Visit the university website at www.acu.edu.ng for online application, screening and admission letter. Given our state-of-the-art facilities, well-equipped library, decent learning environment and distinguished lecturers. Apply now by logging on to www.acu.edu.ng. For details, call 0814-592-0637. Ajayi Crowther University, raising godly intellectuals.
You've been watching Christians in Politics and listening to the SDP presidential candidate, Professor Jerry Gana, highlighting his presidential programs if elected the next president come February 16, 2019. Let's continue with him.
Fourthly, we want to use modern technology and the accounting systems, and it is possible to make corruption impossible. You can't even do it. If you do it, and you have the money, you don't know where to hide it. The technology is there now. The system can be put in place. But it is not even helpful for you to be corrupt, because the process of corruption cannot be hidden if the system is well organized. And then, of course, we strengthen the due process system in such a way that accounting and auditing processes become immediately forensic and digital. And then, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we are now on to digital SWIFT, technology, education, and human development. And because this is an area that, again, is very, very well looked after in the main program, I may not even have the time to go to the details, but I want to say this. For a modern economy, this is extremely important. Technology is the basis of modern life. We want our people to have a science and technology base. Technology must be well developed. We want to emphasize it. It's extremely important. We cannot be transforming the economy of Nigeria using, very outdated technology. It's extremely important, therefore, that we emphasize this. And then secondly, education. I come from the education sector. And I know that we have a lot of work to do to restore academic excellence into Nigerian education. We have the programs, we've done it before. I thank God for the opportunity given me by a previous administration to be the Pro-Chancellor of a first-class university. And you go there today, you see that we did excellently. We can do so right across the nation. And then the issue of human development. For us, people matter more than things. People matter more than things, as far as we are concerned. And therefore, this area of human development matters a lot to us because we want to see the welfare of the people, not only in their education, in their health care, but in their housing, in making sure that people know they are cared for is extremely important. So this final part really is an area that for me is very, very vital as well. Technology, education, and human development. So, Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, by the grace of God and the will of the people of Nigeria, what we are presenting today by way of this program, SWIFT, by the grace of God, we shall restore peace, security, and safety. We will swiftly create wealth through massively increased productivity and employment generation so as to conquer poverty. We shall achieve regular power supply for the entire economy. We shall restore academic excellence into the Nigerian educational system and make sure that Nigerian education is one of the best in the world by the grace of God. We shall ensure sustainable food supply, water supply, healthcare delivery, and good housing so that it can be human development within the context of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And by the grace of God, we shall focus intensely on sustainable human development because to us, people matter more than things. I thank you very much for your attention.
Getting your PVC is your constitutional right and all you need to be part of these elections. Visit your registration point to pick it up and get set to decide who governs us for the next 4 years. Till we see again next week, Happy New Year and bye for now.